Hey, coaches. Welcome back to Football Talk with Coach Chip, right here on the good old YouTube and Football Talk with Coach Chip channel. Today we're going to be talking about a log block. What is a log block? Inquiring minds want to know. It's kind of funny when you turn over one rock, you find another rock to turn over. Never can tell. What I mean by that is I previously did an episode on the troubleshooting the GT counter versus an odd front with those DNs either in four eyes or squeezing like crazy or slanting or pinching in like crazy. And a coach that's a subscriber said, "Coach, what can I do?" And I gave him 4 options. Well, I gave him 3. And then I thought of a 4th one later. And so I said, I'm going to make a video about this. And because I like using viewer input, subscriber input, for what I put out there, because, one guy got a question, another guy probably got one. And I want to be subscriber, viewer driven in our content. Well, that opened up another can of worms, which is a good thing. Give me another idea for a video with some coaches emailing me, "Coach, what do you mean by log block?" And it's not that I don't think that they knew what a log block is. I think they called it something else. Because when I got to researching it, guys, I've been coaching for 40 years. Been on a football field since 1972, and all I've ever called this block is a log block. But that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means, I was raised here in the Southeast, and that's what we called it. I was surprised when I went to college and we didn't say bingo for interceptions. Everybody in the Deep South said bingo back in the 70s. I think that's what Bear Bryant called it, and everybody said bingo. I got to college, they called it an Oski. A lot of those coaches came from other parts of the country. Head coach had been out in Colorado coaching at Air Force. Some of the other coaches have been coaching at small schools up in the Midwest, and they called it Oski. Okay. But there's other names for it. I always called the jet sweep the speed sweep when I first started running it back in 1992. And then later I heard the term jet, and I said, that's good. I like that. It's a cool name. And also, too, I was always, saying it wrong. If I wanted to run speed sweep, I might say speed option, because we ran speed option too. We were an I formation team, an offset I formation team, and we started when we put in the jet. Now I had speed sweep and speed option. I said, here I am, a grown man, and I'm getting them confused. Maybe the kids will too. So I started calling it jet. But some people out West Coast call it the fly sweep. I told you, down here in the South, when it first started, they called it the speed sweep. Because I got it from a guy who played for the guy that made it popular down here, down in Crestview, Florida. I got it from him, and he called it the speed sweep. So I'm pretty sure that's what they called it. So don't be, feel bad. I don't. And that's why I ask people, what do you mean by this when they say something? So what is a log block? Inquiring minds want to know. Before we get started, don't forget, right now, click on like. You're going to like the video. That's why you're watching it, because you've seen other videos and you like them. Also, if you're kind of have trouble with commitment issues, get over it and click on subscribe. The analytics say about half our viewers don't subscribe. So you're going to miss a video sometimes. If you're not subscribing, it's not going to pop up. So let's get started and let's talk about what is a log block. Don't forget our summer freebie. We still got all our other freebies. But this one I'm featuring this summer, the sample practice schedule. It's an Excel spreadsheet file. You can take all my stuff here out. If you don't run Buck, you can put power in there. If you want to put jet in there, put jet in there. You just get it, download it to your computer. It's safe. I promise you, my son-in-law is a professional hacker. He works for the government, and he's the one that set my computer up. So my computer is clean beans. All right, because of our previous video, Troubleshooting the Counter, to understand why I made this follow-up video, go back and look at it. Go back and look at Troubleshooting the Counter. Because one of the options I gave the guy was to log that squeezing, pinching, slanting in DN. And I'll put a link to the Troubleshooting the Counter in the description below the video. I'm not going to read this verbatim. You can pause it. You can take a screenshot of it. This is from research that I did online because I wanted to get what other people were saying about a log block, and This is basically, and this is where I learned they called it a wall block in some parts of the world. I don't care what you call it, as long as everybody knows what you're talking about. I don't care if you call it Magilla the gorilla. If everybody knows a Magilla is when you hit from the inside and pin to the outside. But the log block is an inside-out block. We'll get more into detail when I start showing you the diagram. But again, this is here. Pause it, look at it, take a screenshot of it, and then save it to your device. And later, send it to yourself, and you go back and look at it. It's not that hard a block, but like anything else, you have to rep it. But what you're trying to do, you're hitting that guy that's squeezing, and he's wrong shouldering you, you're going to wrong shoulder him, and you're going to pivot your butt to the outside. Here it is. A log block is when an offensive lineman pulls, in this case, the right guard in green, pulls and seals a defender that was outside of him, now to his inside. What you do is you pull just like you're going to kick him, and you can predetermine it. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Or you can, read it on the fly. And I'll tell you what we've done over the years with our log blocks, how we did it. When you pull left, you hit left. When you pull left to trap, you hit with your left. When you pull left to kick out, like on a counter, the lead guy, you hit with your left shoulder. Pull left, hit left. You've heard me say that before if you're a subscriber and watched all the other videos. But on a log, you hit with the wrong shoulder. He's going to wrong shoulder. Here's a way to look at it. He's wrong shouldering you. If he's a spiller, a squeezer, you wrong shoulder his butt right back at him. And when you make contact with that wrong shoulder, in this case, it'd be the right shoulder because you're pulling left, and you'll pivot your butt to the outside to where it's facing the sideline, and the ball will bounce out here. Now, this is why you have to practice it with everybody. The tackle has to practice it too. He has to get reps at this because he's got to know when he sees his buddy logging, he's got to get around outside with his eyes inside now a little bit wider. If you got a good kick right here and kicked it out and that thing hit right in here, that tackle would come right in here and get that Mike backer. But if you're logging this guy, they're coming in here trying to cause a train wreck right here is what they're trying to do. And if you log him, then that tackle or the H or the F or the Y or how you're running counter will get around that, and he's eyes inside still. Now, sometimes he has to get the outside backer, okay? But he's outside of the log, and that's what you have to practice, is with both of them doing that. A lot of teams now do it on purpose, and that's in the previous slide. I taught with a coach last year at a clinic we were both speaking at in the Atlanta area, and we were talking about it. He goes, I just run two different, and he was at a big school. It was one of those 2,000 kid schools, which every public school in the Atlanta area is huge. He just calls it. He said, we know going in, this team's a squeezing, spilling team. They like the wrong shoulder, and we go in, we practice it that week. No, we're going to do a lot of what he called GT counter sweep. Same play, except they know it's got the running back knows, hey, when we call either whether you tag it or it's a different play in your playbook, the back knows I'm going to bounce. Now, that doesn't mean the back needs to haul butt outside. He still needs to press that A gap or B gap, whatever you teach on GT counter, to suck that linebacker up in there, see? And that's going to set up that tackle's block, get that guy caught up in the wash in here. It doesn't just take off outside. It's got to look like regular GT counter, and then it bounces. I'm going to show you some video of Southern Miss doing it. Almost all your colleges have it that way. Either they've got two different plays, or they have the GT counter and they tag it. Say, hey, we're predetermined this week. This team is really good at spilling. They're going to come in and try to blow us up, wrong shoulder us. We need to log these cats. And I've watched a lot of college games and even pro games where they run the counter and there's no kicking, none. The defense gets a vote, and they said, you're not kicking us. You may bounce that joker outside, which is what they want you to do so the safeties and the backers can become free hitters and they can make the play outside. And that's, most of your big-time college and pro teams, that's what they're trying to do, is trying to bounce, spill everything to the outside to the athletes, and these guys in here stopping the inside run. The log is very important. You cannot, in my opinion, win offensively consistently running gap scheme, which means you're pulling people, without knowing how to log. And you need to be able to, you need to log. You say, nobody does that in our league. Okay, fine. You win your league and you get deep in the year, and now you don't have anybody, you don't know how to log, and somebody says, hey, we're going to blow you up. Now what are you going to do? You better hope your running back's a dude. as I told y'all, I've been log blocking since I played back in the 70s, and I always called it a log block because of that. And as I got older and studied football and got the Tubby Raymond book, the original traditional Waggle, I called it upside down or backwards or reverse buck, because the play side guard now, instead of kicking, is logging. Now, the dude just runs upfield, he kicks him. But against a well-coached team, this guy squeezes because tackle blocks down, and the guard pulls and does a really quick log block and pins this inside right here. The backside guard is now like that backside tackle was on counter. He's getting outside on the Waggle pass now and getting out here and setting up, and the quarterback's going to make his buck fake and roll out right here and set up behind that backside guard. That's the original traditional Waggle that's in the Delaware Wing Tee book. And that's where most people, that get Waggle, you may never read the book, but I promise you, even though you've never heard of it, your Waggle came from this. At some point, your Waggle grew from this. And that's what they did. And so when we went to gun, we gave our backside guard a two-way go on play action passes. And I've got video going back how we block play action pass here on the channel. I'll link that down below too, I remember. So he would pull, get depth, so he could make his log if he needed to. And if that end squeezes, he'd pin him. He'd log him. All right, down here, let's say the end runs upfield. Pull, get his depth. But he flattens out now because he sees the ends run upfield, and he'll kick him. If you get the log, the quarterback will roll out and set up out here. If you get the kick, the quarterback will set up in the B gap, behind the B gap at his regular depth. And so we logged. And also too, I wanted to get mileage out of all the many, many reps that we used on buck sweep blocking. So we would use buck sweep blocking on our reverses. So we would fake buck right and run the Z reverse or whatever back the other way. And we would tell the line, say we were running reverse left, buck left, and they would tag it, and we would tag it, telling that would alert the guards. So now you go back to the traditional Waggle. This is how we ran our reverses for years. And he would come out here. Now, if that dude runs up the field, he's kicking him, and the reverse will come underneath and get back outside. But if he squeezes, we would log him, and then the backside guy would go outside. In this case, it's not a pass. He would continue down the field, picking up first man to show, usually an outside backer or a safety. And so that's how we would maximize our reps. And instead of teaching the lineman a new way to block reverse, we would just run buck and only make that one little tweak and say, hey, it's reverse buck. And that's how I talk to the kids. It's backwards buck. Instead of you kicking, you're looking to pin the guy if he sits or if he squeezes. Even if he sits, we would go ahead and log him. Like if he just comes right here and kind of sits, we would log him. And so that's what log blocking is for those of you. Inquiring minds wanted to know, what is a log block? And that's what we do with it, and it's good for a lot of things. If you're gap scheme, you've got to do this. All right, coaches, let's look at some Southern Miss video I was able to get my hands on. One of them might be run as a GT, sure enough, GT counter, that the guard read it, had the log on it, reacted to it. But two of them definitely were GT counter sweep. They knew, but I wanted you to see a log in action, whether it's predetermined or reactionary by the guard. Either way, it doesn't matter. You see GT counter left. And this is a great example because the tackle didn't have enough depth. If you go back and look at it again, look, the tackle didn't have near enough depth. Look, he's the same level as the guard, and he gets hung up on him. You've got to teach your second puller, whether it's the tackle, the Y, the F, the H. You're running something like this. They've got to be on two different planes, if you will, two different levels, because this wasn't a total disaster, but they really did get two for the price of one. This little skinny DN got two for the price of one from nothing he did. It was all on this tackle not getting his depth properly. Watch. It was a good job by the guard, Right there, here you come. Look at that guy. Once he turned, you know he's a wrong shoulder guy. You know he's a spiller. You know he's coming in to blow it up. He ain't big as a hiccup compared to that big old guard. But he knows right now, if it was a reactionary thing, he did a great job. Boom, look at turn his butt, pivot his butt, 77. Look now. See that rag right there? To the sideline. That's a log. And don't pay any attention to that tackle not doing right. Even the running back got hung up on him because of the tackle. All right, let's watch the end zone shot. You know I love that end zone shot. All right. Boom. Right now, see, he didn't get enough depth. I got to get off that. We're paying attention to the log. Okay. Right there. Boom, he comes under. Keep your feet apart, Dorothy. Don't be clicking your heels together. Nobody's going back to Kansas. I will say that he needs to have a better base on his pivot. Up here it comes. See, he's turned. He tries to run around him, but it ain't happening. It's a good little log right there. Okay, let's look at another one. This is going the other way. This is a quarterback counter. Really, this is a sweep. This is a sweep, but you're seeing the log. It's going to be the same thing if you do it on GT counter, GH counter, buck, whatever it is that you're going to log on. This is a log right there. Look, right now he is starting to set himself up. This guy's coming down. They know by film study this team is a spilling, squeezing, wrong shouldering lot. And they're prepared for it. Great job right here. Notice now he's pulling right, but he's going to hit left. There's his left shoulder pad right there. Boom. And he pivots, showing his bootay to the sideline, turning his butt outside. This guy's done dealing. He has been pinned. It's a good block. All right, let's watch the end zone shot. Same play. All right, watch your left guard. Right there. See? Wrong shoulder to him. He was pulling right, but he hit with his left side. And look, he's got a good base right there. Boom, working those hips outside. I always teach them, don't worry about your feet, except keeping a good base. Worry about your hips. Because the feet are going to go where the hips go. Right? It's just like when we were kids, they taught us how to tackle. They said, watch his belt buckle. Because they can give you a head fake. They can give you a loose leg or whatever, old rubber leg move. But those hips, in the words of Shakira, hips don't lie. All right, so one more. Coming over here. Same play, the quarterback sweep. Good log by the big guy again. Guy's light on his feet. Right there. Watch him turn. Bam. Shoot that butt to the sideline. It's good stuff, cuz. Let's watch the end zone. They'll be going to your left. Now he winds up, he's logging a linebacker. Look, it shows you right there. He made contact with that wrong shoulder. He's pulling right, so he's going to make contact with that left side of his body. This is, these college teams don't really use shoulders that much, but it's the left side of his body. Boom, turning his hips, shooting his fanny to the sideline, and got a football play. Good stuff. All right, coaches, that's it for this episode of Football Talk with Coach Chip. Don't forget, the sample practice schedules has install plans, in-season, 3-day work week. All you got to do is plug your stuff in. Also, don't forget about our offensive line manual for gap scheme blocking. It's over 100 pages. Slides, really, because it's a Google slide. That's how I send it to you as an attachment to the email. $30, gap down backer manual. Also, the big book of bucks, $30. You want both, be $50. If you want to throw in the playbook, add another $10, $60. You get all three of our publications for $60. You're not going to get that any place else in the world. And that'd be over 300 pages of football content. I know it's not much because, I just said I'm going to justify it. This is my retirement coaching supplement, if you will. It's not worth what I do. It's worth more than that, but it's enough to justify my time. Also, don't forget, check out our new podcast over on Spotify. I'm still working to get it on Apple. Go ahead and check Apple because you may be watching this a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month in advance. In the future here, and it may be already up there. But my guys are going to be working on it and get that up going real good. If you want to dive deeper into any of these concepts that are on this channel, or the concepts that are in the books, in the manuals, we'll do that. I'll help you install them. Contact me at siegel.chip@gmail.com for more information how to do that. I'm now doing in-person or Zoom clinics, consultations, and installs. If you're not too far away, I'll come to you. What's too far, Coach? I don't know. Tell me where you are. I can go ahead and tell you this. I did a podcast yesterday with a coach from Minnesota. That's too far. But if you're in the deep South, in the Gulf South, there's a good chance I'll be willing to come see you and we'll negotiate that situation right there. But I'll Zoom with your entire staff. We'll sit down and we'll talk about that. Just give me a holler at siegel.chip@gmail.com. All right, that's been it for What is a Log Block? Thank you for the emails asking me what are you talking about when you say log block. I believe you knew it already, but that's what I call a log block. Inquiring minds wanted to know, and I hope Coach Chip came through with some answers. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, then share it. Put it on your social media. Tell everybody about Football Talk with Coach Chip. Until next time, who can guess what I'm about to say? That's right, you with your hand up. That's right. Be elite.